Good morning, this is Professor Will, CBMD, PhD. It's Wednesday, February 20th, 2019. It's 4:42 seconds a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This morning I'll be doing a reading on optical definitions, and it'll be short and concise. So let me begin here. With the letter A. A value. V number, a number describing the dispersion of an optical material in the visible spectrum. It is a reciprocal of the relative dispersion, where n sub d is refractive index at 0.5893 micron, comma, n sub f is refractive index at 0.4861 micron, comma, and nc is refractive index at 0.6563 micron. Aberration, any deviation from an ideal path of an image forming rays passing through an optical system cause an imperfect image. Various types are spherical aberration, coma curvature of field, astigmatism, longitudinal, chromatic aberration, lateral chromatic aberration, and distortion. Aberration chromatic, image imperfection caused by light at different wavelengths following different paths through an optical system due to different degrees of dispersion of the optical materials of the system. Aberration lateral chromatic, variation in the size of images for light of different colors or wavelengths produced by an optical system. It is measured as the radial displacement of the image in the first color from the image of the same point in the second color. Aberration longitudinal, chromatic distance between the foci for light of different colors measured along the optical axis. Aberration spherical, a symmetrical optical defect of lenses and spherical mirrors in which light rays come from a common axial point, but strike the lens at different distances from the optical axis, do not come to a common focus. Absorption light, the conversion of light into other forms of energy upon traveling through a medium, thereby weakening the transmitted light beam. Energy reflectance, R transmittance, T, and absorption, A, are related by R plus T plus A equals 1. Absorption selective, process by which a substance absorbs all the colors contained in the beam of white light, except those colors that it reflects or transmits. The color of the transparent object is the color it transmits, and the color of the opaque object is the color it reflects. Accommodation limits of distance of the nearest and farthest points which can be focused clearly by the eyes of an observer usually varies from 4 to 5 to infinity. Achromatic, having the quality of being free of chromatic aberration for two colors. Acutance, edge sharpness and high edge contrast in an image. Afocal, optical system whose image point of a distant object is at infinity. Amplitude light, strength of the electric field of a light wave. A light intensity is proportional to the square of the amplitude. Anamorphic, a variation of magnification along mutually perpendicular radii, or an optical system that produces this condition. Anastigmat, lens in which the anastigmatism is eliminated for at least one off-axis zone in the image plane. Other aberrations are sufficiently well correlated for the intended use of this lens. Angle critical, angle of incidence in the denser medium at the interface of the denser and less dense media, at which all the light is refracted along the interface, that is, the angle of refraction is 90 degrees. When the critical angle is exceeded, the light is totally reflected back into a denser medium. The critical angle varies with the indices of refraction of the two media according to the relationship sin I sub c equals n divided by n, where I sub c is critical angle and n transpose the index of refraction of the less dense medium, and n the index of refraction of the denser medium. Angle deviation, angle through which a ray of light is refracted by a reflecting surface, the angle between the subtended path of the incident ray at the refracted ray. Angle of incidence, angle between a beam striking a surface and the normal to that surface. Angle of reflection, angle formed between the normal to a surface and the reflected ray. Angle of refraction, angle formed between a refracted ray and the normal to the surface. Angstrom, A, unit of measurement of the wavelength of light equal to 10 to the power of -8 centimeters. Aperture, opening equal to the diameter of the largest entering beam of light that can pass completely through an optical system. This may or may not be equal to the aperture of the objective. Aperture angular, angle between the most divergent rays that can pass through a lens to form an image. Aperture clear, opening in the mount of an optical system or any system component that limits the extent of the bundle of rays incident on a specific surface. It is usually circular and specified by its diameter, also referred to as a free aperture or objective aperture. Aperture effective, equivalent to the diameter of the largest bundle of arrays that can be imaged by an optical system. Aperture numerical and a sine of the half angle of the widest bundle of arrays capable of entering a lens multiplied by the index of refraction of the medium containing that bundle of rays. Aperture front operating limiting aperture at the front of the lens, usually specified as the maximum diameter of the entrance cone at the front vertex for a specified field of view at infinite focus. Aperture rear operating, limiting opening at the rear of a lens or prism, usually specified as the maximum diameter of the emergent cone for the specified field of view and infinite focus. Aperture precision, a hole used as a masking device in an optical system, may be accurately produced holes in solid material or opaque material deposited on a transparent substrate. Aperture relative, diameter of an entrance pupil of a lens or optical system measured in terms of an equivalent focal length of that lens or system. Aperture stop, mechanical aperture which could be a lens that restricts the diameter of the light bundle passing through an optical system. Alpha net, lens that has been corrected for spherical aberration and coma. It is usually also color corrected. Apochromat, aplanatic lens in which the secondary spectrum has been reduced, or in which three colors have been brought to a common focus by the use of special optical materials. Postilib, a unit of luminance equal to 1 divided by pi candles per square meter. Aspheric, non-spherical, aspheric surfaces are frequently but not necessarily surfaces of revolution. Astigmatism, aberration causes an off-axis point to be imaged as a pair of lines at right angles to each other. Each line is at a different distance from the image-forming element along the chief array of the image-forming bundle of rays. The image-forming element thus has two foci, one radial and the other tangential to the optical axis. A sharp image of a point cannot be obtained. A compromised image position must be selected at a point between the two line images at which the image blur is smallest circle of least confusion. Axis optical, line formed by the coinciding principal axis of series of optical elements comprising an optical system. It is a line passing through the centers of curvatures of the optical surfaces, the optical center line. Axis visual, imaginary line from the object through the nodal point of the eye to the fovea, or point of sharpest retinal acuity. Back focus, distance from the last surface of a lens to the image. Barrel lens, mechanical structure holding a complete lens. Beam, shaft or column of light, a bundle of rays. It may consist of parallel converging or diverging rays. Beam splitter, optical device that divides a light beam into two separate beams. Beam width angular, vertex angle of a conical light beam. Bench optical, solid bed equipped with various sliding holders for lenses, lamps, apertures, eyepieces, etc. that permits individual longitudinal movement of the optical component. Scales are often provided for measuring inter-element distances. Birefringence, characteristics of shaving two indices of refraction with different values causing the separation of light beam into two diverging beams. Birefringence is dependent on the angle between ray path within the medium and the optical axis, or axis of the medium. Black body, object that absorbs all the radiant energy that strikes it. A perfect radiator and perfect absorber. It is a contraction of a term ideal black body and is often used synonymously for ideal radiator, full radiator, or complete radiator. Blacking optical light absorbing material applied to the surface of optical elements. Such material should have an index of refraction as high as that of the underlying material and must be in direct contact with it. Brewster, law of. When the angle between a refracted and reflected ray is 90 degrees, maximum polarization occurs in both rays. The reflected ray has its maximum and polarization in a direction normal to the plane of incidence, and the refracted ray has its maximum polarization in the plane of incidence. Bundle ray, concentrated assembly of light rays. Good day, this is Professor Will, CBMD, PhD, case Wednesday, February 20th, 2019, and this concludes my reading on optical definitions. Hope you enjoyed listening. Have a great day.